folks. Hope you guys are having a good day. Let's go ahead and get rolling here. We'll deal with it as we go. Grab a little micro USB. Okay. Hope you guys are having a good one. Hey, that's a new track. I guess I'll do it. So I'm thinking this will be the last track for the new album cycle, which I've been making songs for like 2 or 3 years this way. So anyway, this makes 8 songs, which I guess is enough for an album. They're all fairly long songs. This one's over 8 minutes. Some of the others are pretty long. I think they're all fairly long as far as the way most people perceive music. But yeah. Anyway, so you can grab that if you want to buy it or just listen to it. I don't have any of this stuff up on Spotify. My original plan was to do like a whole album at once. But the only economical way to do that is with like CD Baby. And I'm just not really a fan of CD Baby. Turn down the audio a bit. I'm just not really a fan of CD Baby. Didn't have a great, I used them to release a whole album digitally and stuff a while back, and I wasn't super happy. So I'll probably just like put it all up on DistroKid or something like that in the near future. So if you're wanting to listen to stuff on Spotify, I'll have that coming maybe in the next week. It's like a whole album. The album's called Return. I already have like a cover and stuff for it made, so should be fun. Newest book, which you can get for free. Demon Ex Machina. So here it is. What if AI art actually was run by a demon? That's the idea behind this book right here. So you can grab that one. Let me find the Amazon link for that. If you want to buy it. But you also get it for free if you're not on my mailing list yet. You can get it for free for hopping on the mailing list at dvspress.com/free-book. And you'll have links there. So I'll just put that there. What do you think about Bandcamp for selling music? I think they're great for the most part. They often do a thing where they are donating to charities that I don't like. So I don't like that part. I think you should leave that up to individuals, but it does work to like improve sales for artists. People like the idea of same thing with something like Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle is really a for-profit business, but people like the idea that their software purchase is going to go help somebody somewhere. Makes them feel better about it, and then they get the games at a discount. So. It's okay. It's just like, I don't really like the charities that they often pick, but it's okay. So in general, I like Bandcamp. One thing I didn't like is that I set up an album for pre-order a couple years ago, and then they didn't make it go live on the day. So people were like emailing me. They're like, "Why hasn't your album come out?" I'm like, "It came out like 2 weeks ago," and they're like, "Oh, no, you have to go in and physically make it go live." I'm like, what's the point of the pre-order, right? So I had pre-orders refunded and stuff because unlike Amazon, which just you set up the pre-order and it goes, like you have to manually add it. You have to manually make it go live, which was really stupid. So I won't do that again, but, Yeah. They do donations, but they tell you ahead of time. It's like some Fridays they do a donation, There's a cool D&D themed retro metal band called Throne of Iron, but I haven't heard them. But they soured on me when they announced that they were going to donate Bandcamp Revenue to BLM. Yeah, see, this is just paying the masters. So one of the things you kind of have to realize is that a lot of this charity donation stuff is about paying the masters publicly. It's a public sacrifice to whatever gods of the secular state, quote, secular state, the death cult. So you have to perform sacrifices to the death cult or they will come after you, right? It's the same thing. Everybody posting black pictures after George Floyd died of a drug overdose was really about avoiding, signaling that you were for the cult and therefore you hoping to avoid trouble. It's kind of putting the number of the beast on your forehead, right? You're hoping to continue to buy and sell because you have the number of the beast, the number of his name engraved upon you so that you're allowed to buy and sell your grain. It's just, when you think of this symbolically, that's what it is like people will worship Satan in order to have access to the economy because they're terrified of economic struggle. As a Christian, we're warned against this. Christ says, how much more does God care for you than the birds who don't worry about anything, right? This stuff is emphasized, with the church fathers in the epistles. Economic struggle, there's no prosperity theology, but, you need to be okay with struggle because God's got your back. So, but people are afraid of that, right? They don't want to lose their job. They don't want to move across the country to, they'd rather just submit to the beast so that they can continue to buy and sell the meager amount of grain that they're allowed to have. But hey, there's a million metal bands out there that don't donate to Black Lives Matter, and they're all going to be good. There's so many good bands out there. You don't need to make political sacrifices if you feel like they're doing something wrong. Listen to someone else. I guarantee you there's 100 other bands you'll like just as much. You can listen to Twilight Force, which just doesn't do anything political, right? Just listen to Twilight Force. Anyway, I started Breath of the Wild. Man, you weren't kidding about this durability problem with weapons. It's such a drag and discourages casual combat. What made Nintendo think this was good? I don't know. Well, there's positives to it. I'll say the first 10 hours I played the game were really fun because the battles were chaotic and made me adapt. But only when I realized the way the game was arranged was as such that there was actually no point to fighting most of the monsters. Virtually all of the monsters, there's no point in engaging them in combat. The most efficient way to play the game is to get a horse and just ride around every conflict, going straight towards your objective, and just running away from any monster as much as possible. Because what are you going to get from fighting the monster? You're going to break all your weapons, maybe get one to replace it, right? You might get different weapons that aren't as good. You might get weapons that are slightly better, but you're going to break all your weapons. You have to constantly go in and out of menus to put on new weapons, constantly go in and out of menus to eat food. It's a terrible system. I hate having to go in and out of menus constantly to do things. This is one of those things that if you think of, it's one of the things that I actually don't like about Skyrim is that it's so cumbersome to navigate the menus and you have to use the menus a lot compared to Morrowind where you right click and then click something and then it happens and then you can do it, right? The Morrowind menu system is so quick and the Skyrim menu system is so slow. It becomes cumbersome. You really need those hotkeys like you had in Oblivion because it's too cumbersome to go through the menus. So it's really bad in Breath of the Wild. I hate having to menu 100 times in every single fight to pull out another weapon because my current one just broke. So at the beginning of the game, it's fun. As you progress through the game, you realize the optimal way to play the game is to actually not play it, to not do any of the gameplay. It's best that, you can run around to shrines if you want and get extra hearts and stuff. Or just go to the 4 beasts to power yourself up for the final boss. You could probably beat the game. I know that there's stuff on YouTube of people going straight to Ganon. You can go straight to Ganon, you just have to be really good at the game. But, if you wanted to experience the story or whatever, it would probably just be to go to those 4 beasts and the villages and avoid all the combat, and you could probably finish the game in a lot less time than what most people spent on it. I feel like the people who really liked Breath of the Wild were people who'd never played a good open world game. They'd never played Morrowind or Skyrim or something like that. They'd never really gotten into a game that does that format well. To me, it was basically Far Cry. It was Far Cry but Zelda. And I don't think Far Cry is that good of an open world game. Like their format is pretty thin, I would say. But even so, I think there's more to Far Cry than there is to Breath of the Wild by a lot. I did appreciate the aesthetics of Breath of the Wild. I did like that there's a feeling associated with it that I think is pretty good. The combat itself is not bad, other than the weapons breaking, making you have to constantly do menus and really going against the idea of an RPG in a lot of ways. The only way to improve your character is to do shrines and the beasts, the beast dungeons. Which, I mean, once you know that, then you could just do that. But when you start the game, you're coming with a perspective of thinking that beating enemies will get you things. And it doesn't. The fragility system, Breath of the Wild, is one of the least enjoyable parts. Also, my Wii U, the frame rate was awful and would dip to 5 to 10 if there were more than 2 enemies being hit at once. Yeah, I played it on the Wii U as well. Moving across the country was a great decision. 40 more days until it will have been a year. I'm glad I listened to people like you who helped me decide that it was worthwhile. So yeah, I moved 2,000 miles away back towards where I was born. You know, and the thing is, you want to move before the collapse happens. So the best time to move out of South Africa was probably like the 1980s. Or maybe the 1990s or something, right? So you move out of South Africa once apartheid ends and you get the signal that like white people are on the chopping block once they have the power, you just move out of there. When you can still get some money for your house, things like that. And then, yeah. So you don't want to wait until it's Detroit now to try to get out of Detroit, where you can't even get any money for your house and you're upside down. Here's the problem with Breath of the Wild being about exploration. There's really nothing to find. You don't really find a lot exploring. You find some shrines, and those are fun. The puzzles are definitely fun. And you find lots of cool-looking architecture, but not really any depth compared to, say, something like Elder Scrolls, where the exploration rewards you immensely with deeper and deeper lore and knowledge and characters and things that you meet. It looks like a dead world, and it feels like a dead world, and it has a certain feeling to it that I don't dislike, but it's not anywhere close to a real open world game about exploration. Even in MMO, it's way less about exploration than in MMO. Yeah, I'd rather discover an underrated band or 10 than listen to Led Zeppelin for the 800th time. This is my main gripe with Breath of the Wild 2. I had to make heavy use of the cloning glitch because it wasn't worth engaging bokoblins with your snazzy blue weapons. Yeah. I watched Highlander 2 for the first time. Just wondering why you think it was underrated. It is underrated because by itself, it's actually a pretty fun and interesting movie with a rather strange and kind of cool plot with lots of good action. The problem with it is that it was a sequel to Highlander, and there never should have been a sequel to Highlander. There can be only one good Highlander movie, and that's the first one. But it is like definitely underrated. It's the black sheep of the family for a reason, but it is an interesting watch, I think, especially now. Just found your video on Twilight Force's Heroes of Mighty Magic album. I've been enjoying it a lot. I think that's one of the best power metal albums ever recorded, is Heroes of Mighty Magic. It gets everything. Like, even the packaging is just, like, perfect. It's just beautiful, perfect packaging. Done by Karen Byatt, who actually did the cover for one of my books, Water of Awakening. There's a problem with a lot of open world RPGs. It's basically just a massive commute from point A to point B. There you go. If you look at something like Vanilla WoW or even BC WoW, there was a lot of stuff to discover through exploration. There were books that would be lying around. There were enemies, rare spawns that would drop stuff for you. There was actually a lot to be found through exploration, especially if you didn't know the game yet. And that was true of EverQuest as well. But Breath of the Wild, you go out and explore, and you just kind of find graphics, and you don't really find depth. There's not a lot of depth to be found out there. It's okay. I still don't think Breath of the Wild was a terrible game. It's just way overrated. It's like a D. It's probably the worst Zelda game, in my opinion, is Breath of the Wild. I'm trying to think of one that maybe is up there as far as bad. Maybe Zelda 2, but I like Zelda 2 more. Even though I think Zelda 2 is really not a great game. It's not a good game even. I'd say it's average at best. Breath of the Wild is probably just subpar. If favorite booktuber of mine casually equated Trump supporters to racists yesterday. I'm getting tired of people with diluted views. He did great pulp reviews, but I unsubscribed. There you go. I don't know. Like, it's a weird thing to pull that out. Like, I get the politics of a lot of the mainstream publishing industry. And you want to, if you want to get in with them, right? If you want them to like you, then you have to put the number of the beast on you, right? You have to at least pay lip service to their pet political ideology, or they won't pay any attention to you whatsoever. That's the whole thing with, like, people like Joyce Carol Oates did this on Twitter this week. So this week on Twitter, Joyce Carol Oates went on this, I don't know what to call it, but she basically tweeted a bunch that it was good that they were censoring Agatha Christie novels. Now, Agatha Christie's the best-selling novelist of all time. She wrote all kinds of murder mysteries that you've probably seen an adaptation of, or you've read the book of, like Murder on the Orient Express. Very good writer. And so she was supporting the censoring, the rewriting of her books to suit modern sensibilities. And why would she do this? Why would a writer support the desecration of another writer's art? And the answer is because the publishing industry wants to do this, and her friends are in the publishing industry, and she wants to continue to be published even though nobody buys her books. So you have to say that what they're doing is okay. It's simply a, kowtow to the beast. You have to put the number of the beast on your head if you want to continue to buy and sell in the economy. If you want to have access to the economy as a writer, I'm sure she thinks that she needs the publishing industry in order to have economic access as a writer. She actually taught, by the way, at when I was in college. She was like a guest teacher for a year or something. Anyway, why are they censoring Agatha Christie novels? Why are they censoring Roald Dahl novels? Now, Roald Dahl, Hardwick Bentho pointed out to me that they actually changed Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory a long time ago, like maybe the 1970s. The Oompa Loompas were originally little black African pygmies, and he changed that. He got rid of the references to, like, African pygmies, basically. So changed some of their physical descriptors and removed references to color and things like that back then. So, but changing it after he's dead, he was alive to make that decision, and he's been dead since. So I don't think it's okay to just change somebody's work, but the bigger question is why they're doing it. And they're not just doing it for political reasons. Why would they change Roald Dahl? Is because nobody is buying newer books. There are very few new middle grade authors that are getting people excited. There's very few people writing books for fourth graders that the publishing industry can sell. They publish lots of them, but people don't buy the books unless it's like Captain Underpants or Dogman or something like that, which are really more hybrid or comic books, not like Roald Dahl at all. So the only reason that they're censoring Agatha Christie and Roald Dahl and whoever else they feel like censoring, Edgar Rice Burroughs, or I don't know. Of course, I think most of that's in the public domain at this point. A lot of those books are. Anyway, why are they censoring them? Well, they're censoring them because nobody's buying the new stuff. They're censoring them because after about 2000, there's no more popular culture. There's no more shared massive culture unless you go back in time. So these are some of the last authors where everybody read them. Everybody read Agatha Christie, or everybody read Roald Dahl at some point. So you want to censor them to suit your modern sensibilities, first of all, because you can, but second of all, because nobody's interested in new works. People are not reading best-selling theosophy books from 110 years ago. Nobody buys them and reads them. Nobody cares about them. Therefore, there's no reason to censor them. But because people are still buying Agatha Christie novels, you're going to want to censor them to exert your political force over those novels. And because you can't, the ones that you put out which are politically correct and are modern, no one buys. So it's really like a corporate thing. It's the corporate interest in continuing to sell things that still have that echo of popular sensibility to them when you can't create anything new that's actually popular. So that's the big reason that they're doing that, is they just don't have anything new that anyone's interested in. If people didn't care about Agatha Christie, there'd be no reason to censor them. You censor them because people still want to read them. That's why. I didn't even consider Breath of the Wild a Zelda game. The original Darksiders game was a far better Zelda game than Breath of the Wild. I think I have that. Tim Pool and other artists are... I never played it, though. Tim Pool and other artists are suing Bandcamp since they banned their accounts and the people who purchase the music from their site don't have access to it. BC never even told them. Interesting. And never told them why they're banned. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Patreon. Like, I turned off my Patreon, and I actually probably shouldn't have, and I might start the Patreon back up. Because one of the things I realized about banning people from sites is, like, how should I put this? You have to go where the normies are. And you go to whatever site is going to get you the most attention and the most ability to talk to normal people. And you pretty much have to ride the train till it falls off the rails, because the alternatives, while I'm glad they exist, are just not worth investing all of your time into until you don't have the option of the mainstream. Once you have made it in the mainstream, it's really easy to shuffle people over into alternative social media or alternative sales platforms or what have you. But first you have to have success, and the only way for a nobody to get success is really to use YouTube and Patreon and Twitter and all these other mainstream social media platforms. Otherwise, it's really hard to gain a following. Once you have a following, it's easier for them to follow you outside of that, but you really have to go mainstream until the rails really fall off. There's virtually no other option, and that's the unfortunate part. So it's like I really should start Patreon back up, simply because people will use Patreon. They don't want to follow me to Subscribestar. They don't want to do Subscribestar to tip me or whatever it is. They just want to do Patreon. That's what they like to do. So anyway, that's it. I played the Diablo 4 beta. I don't think I'm going to play Diablo 4, guys. I think I streamed Diablo Immortal once just because someone's like, you should just stream it and see what it's about. And I'm like, it's okay. I mean, but there's a bunch of other action RPG games you could play that are probably better, you know? The woke aspects feel so slight that they'd be pretty petty to bring up, but there are so many of them that it's unbelievable. The religious leader's a bald black woman. The opening cinematic is a wise black man being bullied by white treasure hunters. There's NPC talk about girls becoming knights, and one of the main NPCs is an Asian teenage girl who's braver than a white male knight. I don't play a lot of modern games, so it's just extra jarring for me. Yeah, Doll and Christie are just the beginning. True. And there's no shared mass culture anymore. And in a lot of ways, that's good, because then that gives a lot of opportunity for views that would just never be seen or heard, or styles of writing or media or art that would never have gotten attention in the past. So it's good in most ways. Any chance you're going to do an AI art creation lecture, like how to do prompts for good book covers, or even just for fun art creation? I've done a couple of live streams using the art and using stock photos and things to make book covers, so I can do more of those. If you want a structured lecture, I could probably do that. There's not that much to prompts. Once you experiment a little bit, you'll get it. It's really about describing. There's a couple big things you want to describe in the prompt. You want to describe. You want to describe color. So if you want a select color palette, you want to put those colors in the prompt, and it will do that. So if you're working with red and blue, for instance, put red and blue in the prompt, and then you'll get a red and blue image. If you're green and gold for fantasy, if it's purple and green, whatever colors you want, put those colors in the prompt, and you're going to get those colors. The other one is to use prompts that reference old artists. So if you want it to generate something that looks like Jacob Jourdain's, you put Jacob Jourdain's in the prompt, and it will generate something that is stylistically like Jacob Jourdain's. Now, it might be really messed up. You probably will need some overpainting. Same thing with Frank Frazetta. It won't come out with the correct details, but it will come out with the correct style. This is really useful for backgrounds. So if you're trying to have it paint clouds, sky, waves, and rocks, it will do those things really well. What AI is still not good at is producing entire compositions where people are placed in specific places. The details on them are correct, including their hands and their faces. and the lighting is correct and the colors are correct. So it's generally better if you're going to make a book cover, you're trying to compose a piece of that, you rather prompt each individual thing and then Photoshop it together, just like you do with a photo book cover, where you would go search for each individual thing on Adobe Stock or Shutterstock or whatever, and then paste it together into one thing. You're going to do the same thing with AI art, but it saves a lot of steps because you don't have to find. So if I was doing a photo cover, I might have to. I don't know if I have one handy that like I did. Here, I'll give you an example. Do I have one here? This might be a good example. Yeah, so this is probably a good example. All right, so yeah, Tyrant's Gallow here. There's a lot of photos. This is a photo cover, right? So there's a lot of photos. This is a book 2, and I still probably spend too much time on the cover. So this hill is one. The girl and the boy are 2 different pictures. So 1, 2, 3. I think there's a 4th one that's just grass I used to blend it together. This cliff here is another one, and the boats are pasted in. There's 3 or 4 different pictures of clouds here. I painted the stars myself, and then there's a moon. So and then I painted fog and other kinds of things all over the image to get it to look correct here. So in order to get a composition of this level of complexity, I had to blend like 15 or 20 different pictures. Well, with AI, I could say, well, I want cliffs with waves against them and clouds and a moon, and it would paint that whole background pretty close to what I wanted. Or I could skip the moon and paste the moon in later. And then I want, I would make the boy and the girl, I'd do separate prompts for them. Girl facing away, blah, blah, blah. Things like that. Then you get all the elements that you need for the book cover. So the key to prompting is just to experiment. Sometimes you have to run the same prompt several times to get what you want, little variations. You want to describe artists if you can, and it will reference those artists. Mostly you're going to be referencing pre-modern artists because there's no modern big time artists that, other than like Michael Whalen or like people who specifically do book covers, that you would want to reference for AI art. All modern art is like basically abstract garbage. So you just wouldn't ever use it. That's the other thing about the copyright debate is like, oh, you're referencing a modern artist's work and stealing their work. It's like, probably not, because I'm referencing romantic era art from over 100 years ago. Why? Because it actually looks good. That's why. And modern art looks like crap. So anyway, yeah, I can do something specific on that. This is why I say it's not enough to succeed. Others must fail. If these alternatives want to win, they need to engage in old-fashioned corporate sabotage. Yeah, Amazon's the easiest way to buy any books, and it's really the only place that you can adequately sell them as well. I contacted you on Twitter weeks ago because I wanted your opinion on concept for my book cover before I committed to creating it. I know you were busy. If you could check it out, I thought I already responded to you. But if I didn't, I'll take a look again. Got beta access from KFC. I enjoyed it, but I'm in no big hurry to shell out $60 or whatever when it comes out. Yeah, probably not going to play Diablo 4. I just don't care that much, right? Like, Diablo 3 was good. It was a good experience. The best experience I had playing Diablo 3 was like 4-player couch co-op. You can do that on the PlayStation, and it's really good. It's actually very well implemented, and some of the most fun you can have gaming is playing Diablo 3 local. Does Diablo 4 have that? I don't know. Nor do I think I'll be able to get people over to play with me. And my son is not really old enough to play Diablo with me. Maybe Diablo 3, because it's kind of tame. I know it's rated M, but it's pretty tame. It's a pretty tame story overall. So, anyway, let's go ahead. Let's play some games. Let me see if I can find that. I lost my cable here. All right, give me a second. I'm going to find the cable. Okay. So enjoy some iwi at the end there. Electronic wind instrument. I actually had to order a new battery for my iwi because I guess they die after about 6 years. Here it is. You can hear it on the mic for a minute. We should get it right here. There we go. Now, what was I doing? I think I was gonna go to Wutai. Wutai. Okay, I'll take a look in chat. Final Fantasy 16 and Diablo 4. Not sure which to play first. I will play Final Fantasy 16 first. I have much more faith in Square Enix actually than Blizzard at this point. And Diablo's fine. I like Diablo. I'm not expecting Diablo 4 to generate or deliver to me like a really new experience. If that makes any sense. Alright, here we are. I'm gonna go. Wait, do I have. Wait, I was gonna change my party around, I think I need. What's her face? Let's switch out Vincent for Yuffie. Everybody's sad. We'll go stay at the end. Get rid of that sadness. This is the end. It's a weapon shop. My opinion of Square Enix, well, I mean, Forspoken is what happens when you hire Americans to write your garbage instead of having Japanese do it. Choco Feather. Which one's the end? Yeah, they did scrap the whole studio. No, Gramps, it's a big red planet in the sky. Everyone's scared of it. Modern video games would be better if they focused on gameplay rather than story. I mean, part of the problem is that they also hire bad writers to do the story. Like, it's a competence thing. Most of the writers working for in the video game industry are just terrible at their jobs. Like, we've got to be honest. Sadly, cracks are beginning to show in Japan. As they seek to appeal to a broad market audience, they'll probably start doing this nonsense all on their own. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Where is the end? Is it over here or somewhere? I thought this was the end, but I guess not. Stranger of Paradise was fun. What's up, Kyle? talk to this guy about staying in an inn? I don't think this is the inn. It's just a bar. I thought there was an inn here. Am I crazy? Maybe I am. Up here somewhere. Help me, help me, help me! They're praying for help. Oh, cool. It's free. Really just wanted to have a normal book cover, no clue what the art style is. You kind of got to know genres. Like, you kind of got to know design even to use Midjourney. Like, Midjourney is a good shortcut, but you kind of already got to know what you're looking for a cover. Like, I can do some more live covers. I've done a few. I think Midjourney is really good for backgrounds, especially with fantasy and sci-fi. You can have it draw ships and all kinds of things, which are great. I read Demon Ex Machina, and it's so chilling, especially the part where the protagonist sees the footprints at the end. Made me reflect a lot. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for reading it. I'm glad you liked it. I add in the style of fantasy art at the end. There you go. That works too. Let's see what magic I can do here. Oh, she doesn't have any. Oh, I gotta go back and put on the. I gotta go back and put in materia. Sorry, some allergies today. One thing I do not, I mean, one thing I would really improve if I were making ports of this is making it so you could pull materia off of characters that aren't in your party. Just a lot of steps to like switch people in and out. Think about like who has what every single time. Store all and Ultima. Got mana for the rest of this stuff, really. I think I have another element. fractal one here. Destruct. Midjourney is great if you have a single human object in mind, like a cloaked man walking down a dark alley in medieval German town. But if you want the man to hold a weapon, you have a problem. Yeah, you're gonna have to start doing some doing some Photoshop work there. And then, you know, you kind of have to think, like, would it be better to just use a stock photo for some of this? Like, it might be easier to find a guy holding a sword for a stock photo and then do the medieval town in Midjourney. And that's what I tend to do. If I'm gonna use AI art, it's to, like, fill in the gaps, get like unique looking things. It's not going to do complex like people all that well. So yeah, if you want the guy to hold a gun, you might want to just find a picture of a guy holding a gun. You know what I'm saying? Let's do Quake. Should be able to get past these flames. The skill of the sea god shines. All right, there we go. Should be able to get some items in here. Steel as well, material. There we go. Steel as well. Is there romance in the Moonsong trilogy? Yeah, that's like one of the central components. There should be an item in here for Yuffie. Somewhere. Maybe it's over here. Oh, there we go. We do 2 fires here. Maybe try to Photoshop the gun into his hands. Alright. Alright. Oh, cool. Lots of... I've been reading old pulp slightly from the 30s and love how every prose story had a couple of illustrations. Kursova and many modern indie magazines I buy have some illustrations, but I wish they had more. Yeah, the problem is illustrations are very much not cost effective. So I would love to have more illustrations in my books. There's illustrations in Needle Ash. And yeah, I would love to have more illustrations, but they don't make a lot of economic sense. And the main reason they don't really make sense is because they cost money, but they don't improve sales in any kind of noticeable way. People really buy books to buy the book, and the illustrations are not really why they buy it unless you're looking at an illustrated edition of J.K. Rowling or Tolkien or something like that. Then yes, people will buy it for the illustrations for sure. But for your regular book, it's not really an upsell. Like, you're not adding value to the purchase. But it is costing you money. Now, Cursova does it because, they're just trying to do a really good product, and illustrations are going to be part of that. But it's not like, there's a limit to how much extra value you can add by offering some illustrations. It's gonna be difficult. Like, one thing I might do, I don't know, towards the end of this year, I've been so busy, it's hard for me to and I have so many other things that got to be cleared off the plate, including putting out this album. Like, it's hard for me to think that much about it, but I'd like to crowdfund a new edition of the first 2 books along with the third, like putting out the 3rd book in the series, which I still haven't put out yet. I'd like to crowdfund those and get good illustrated editions, get illustrations by Jesse White, or someone who's really good at black and white illustrations. He's really the best. That if you're not following Jesse on Twitter, he's a fantastic comic artist and just all around good guy. White Knight's Illustrations on Twitter. White Knight Illustrations, I think. Where's Rocket Town? Is this it? No, that's maybe Rocket Town's over here. What is it? Hold on, I'm gonna look up a map again. No, it is on this continent. It's just up over here. Did I go past it? That's not it. That's Nibelheim. Is this it? I thought there was a rocket in it. Or is this Nibelheim? Nibelheim. Finished Afterglow, I really liked it. Thank you, especially Mad Uncle Marty. It's scary how many people I personally know who are like that. Sorry. Oh, here it is. There's Rocket Town. There's the rocket. Are you going to do a special edition of Al Shafal? I was going to wait to get it just in case. I don't know if I do one more book in that series. I'll probably put out like a collection that has all 3. I don't know. I might do a hardback of Moonsong of the first 3 books. A spectacle. Someone I know said the reason Christians are being targeted is because they don't fight back in any meaningful way. What happened Monday would never happen at a mosque even. Yeah. Well, they don't, they're self-targets. Especially like Protestant America is very individualistic and disjointed. If it was a really effective, people talk about the Christian right, but if it's an effective force, we wouldn't be living in clown world. Truth is, they can't effectively act as a single unit. They just can't. Because they would. And we wouldn't be dealing with what we're dealing with now. Is something about to happen? Ooh, I'm getting excited. Yeah, let me find Jesse's Twitter because everybody should follow him. I'll just find it real quick. Oh, Jesse White Comic is what it is on Twitter. Never mind. WhiteKnightsIllustration.com is his website. So I would love to maybe do a crowdfund and get him to illustrate the first 3 books. He's a great fantasy artist. He did Deus Volt. You can check out a lot of his fantasy art just on his page. He works in like traditional media. He like actually will hand paint. Instead of doing inking like with, you know, little nub pens, which is what I do. He will actually ink with actual brushes. It's very classic, and it comes out. There's a quality to that art that you can't really get working in the digital space. I love digital art too, and I work in the digital space, but you just can't get it right. There's different quality when you do it on paper. There just is. Those terrorists are here. If you ever been in the mood for some great 50s to 60s style rockabilly, I'd recommend the Millwinders on Bandcamp. I'll check them out. Their lead singer, Sarah Butler, is a modern-day Patsy Cline. I used to be in a rockabilly band. Fun fact. I'm checking something out. Oh, that might be cool. All right, I need to actually pair the steal as well materia. That's why it's not stealing anything. Don't let them get any further. Everyone attack! Woot. Oh, you're not going anywhere. Nowhere. Good job, Tiva. Yeah, I know a lot of people that it's like, what's going to happen to their huge collection of tchotchkes? Well, baby boomers are dying, and then their kids are like, what do we do with all of these weird little porcelain dolls my grandma collected? It's like, I don't know what to do with these. If you're going to kick those Shinras, if you go to kick those Shinras out of my rocket, then take me with you. Do I want Yeffy or Tifa? Probably Tifa. Yeah, let's do Tifa. Materia. Let's put some materia in here. Oh, I gotta take the materia off what's her face. Shoot. Change members of party, okay. Oh no, I messed up. I can't change the party members. But I can put some materia in here. Press the wrong button. Oh well. Let's equip. Let's do elemental. I don't have an elemental here. Oh well, we'll just do it. It doesn't matter. This is not a hard game. Let's do Neo Bomber. Doesn't matter. I barely use any of these summons, so we'll use some this time. Why not? See what it does. I left my girlfriend behind. No. Well, maybe I want to date Yuffie. Maybe I want my Cloud to be in love with Yuffie. He's got Asian fever. You again. We will eliminate everyone who gets in Shinra's way. Grand Spark. Ooh. Wow, that was cool. Poor Sid, man, he's getting just blasted here. There's a lot of tchotchkes from the 20th century that are gonna end up in landfills. That's true. I think so. Think of all the action figures from the 80s and 90s that aren't Star Wars, Transformers, or Barbie related. Yeah. Ugh. Got him. Funko Pops are the worst though because kids can't even play with them. I had that in the story. It's like, these aren't really to be played with. Like, how do you play with these? It's like, you don't. You put them on the shelf. They got us. You, why are you here? Rude, the Turks should have been here. Too bad, those guys are over there. Oh man, the Turks being done in like that, but I won't let you through. Was there any conscious influence for Pikmin's model? Pikmin's model in Demon X Machina? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Hey, what the hell are you guys doing? Hey, just when I thought something was going on, you come back. Listen to me, Captain. We're gonna launch this rocket. Huh? What are you talking about? We're gonna load a materia bomb into this and blow up meteor. Our rocket's gonna save the planet. Oh man, this is so cool. Wait a minute. Shut up. Just shut the hell up. How's the rocket? It's pretty much okay. We planned to run it into Meteor on autopilot, but the most important device is broken. Broken? How's the repair going? Shira's doing it. Oh, great, what a bunch of wizards you guys are. She's going to take 100 years. I'll take over, so don't worry about the autopilot. Hey, go ahead, go tell everyone. All right, Captain, good luck. Hey, Sid. Hey, Sid, what are you doing? There are generations of knowledge and wisdom inside the materia. We're going to borrow their powers and save the planet from Sephiroth. There's no way that we can lose the huge materia. You understand that, right? Yeah, I understand. I understand that materia is precious, and I also understand what you're thinking. But listen, I don't give a rat's ass whether it's science or magical power. No, I guess if I had to choose, I'd rather put my money on the power of science. Humans who used to only roam around on the ground are able to fly now. Finally, we're about to go into outer space. Science is a power created and developed by humans, and science just might be what saves this planet. I was able to earn my living thanks to science, so to me, there's nothing greater. Now quit your worrying about what Shinra's gonna do. I don't want to regret not having done something later. But Sid, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear it. Alright, time to get to work. Anyone who ain't involved, get the hell out of here. What the hell? What the hell happened? Hey. Palmer, what the hell did you do? They said they finished repairing the autopilot, so I launched it. God damn, Cheryl. Why'd you pick today to get fast? Damn, won't even budge. It's completely locked up. Hey, almost liftoff. I was reminded of Pikmin's model when I read Demon Ex Machina. No influence. I don't even know if I've read that. What the? No countdown? They just don't seem the same without it. Hey, blast off. Could you remind me what are typically the best art styles for book covers outside RL mashups? I recall you said cartoon is bad because people will think it's a comic book. What works with fantasy? Fantasy needs to be detailed, realistic paintings, or that have fantasy elements to them from the book, things like dragons. So it's stuff like Michael Whalen. Or it needs to be, if it's going to be a photo cover, it needs to have the elements that are going to communicate fantasy. It's correct font. But also, like, if it's a forest story, you want to have a forest. You want to have guys that... You want to have a human element on it that looks like they're from a fantasy story. There's nothing specific you need to worry about too much with that. The main thing is that if you're getting comic-style art on your cover, it's a bad idea. Comic-style art is going to be black lines with like digital color or flat colors in them, things that look like a comic book. Anything that looks like a comic book cover is going to signal the wrong things. It needs to be a painting, or it needs to not be illustrated. That's basically the way you have to look at it. It needs to be in a painted style. It needs to look like a painting, or it needs to be something other than that. So no comic book art. If you see the cover of some cool DC comic book and you're like, man, that would be a great book cover, it probably wouldn't be. People will think it's a comic book. Or if it's very cartoony, people will just think it's a children's book. And if it's not a children's book, you're signaling the wrong thing. I finally made it. Out of space. Let's see. How's the course set? Yep, it's headed for a collision with Meteor. Hey, old man, do something. Damn, Palmer went out of his way to lock the autopilot device. We might not be able to change the course. This is the end? Huh? What the hell are you saying? You're still young. You give up that easily? I'm not gonna crash into Meteor. Just watch. I keep an escape pod on the rocket just for emergencies like this. I deciphered the lock code on the escape pod. We'll bail right before we crash into Meteor. What are we gonna do with the huge materia? If you don't want it, baby, maybe you could give it to me. If you want the materia, do whatever you want. The materia should be there after you climb that ladder. You sure? I don't know. I know what I said a minute ago. But maybe all that I really wanted was just to go into outer space. So why don't you all do whatever you think is right? Hey, Cloud. If you're gonna get the materia, it's this way. There it is. Again, I finally found the huge materia. It's structured so that the lock can be opened if we enter the passcode from this control panel. Let's try to get it. Enter passcode. Hey Cloud, you know how to use it, right? Every time it says enter passcode, push one of those buttons. If you punch in the right code, it'll unlock and you can get the huge materia. So, what order am I supposed to enter the passcode in? I don't know, just try and punch in the code randomly. Enter passcode 1. Passcode input or error. Seems like you missed the code. If we don't enter the correct passcode before the protection system activates, we won't be able to get the materia back. Passcode confirmed. Identified as an authorized user. Unlocked. Have you read the Arashan War trilogy? No. Received key item, huge materia. Alright. Let's get out of here. Ooh. Ah! Damn, my leg's stuck in the debris. Sid. I can't budget by myself. Don't worry about me. Hurry up and go. If you don't hurry, the rocket's gonna crash into Meteor. I can't go without my friends. You asshole, no time to worry about other people. I'm gonna do whatever I can. You're stupid. You're really freaking stupid. Tank number 8 blew up, so tank number 8 really was malfunctioning. Shara, you were right. Oh, I haven't read that. I haven't read John's Arashan War trilogy. But this is the end for me. Don't say that, Sid. Huh, Sheriff? I tagged along. I'm coming to help you. You stupid. Sorry. The escape pod is this way. Please hurry. Hurry. I'm going to detach the escape pod. I may not have read that one. Hey, Sheriff. Does this pod really fly? It'll be okay. I've been checking it out till now. Then I'm relieved. Thanks. So no influence. My influence for the story was people being obsessed with thinking there's demons in AI art. That's the influence of the story. And then styles. So like a more early 20th century Lovecraft style. An approach to writing it rather than having elements from Lovecraft. So this is outer space. Man, it's the real thing. I'm really here in outer space. So long, Shinra number 26. Kaboom! These cutscenes were so cool back in the day. It's still coming. Doesn't destroy meteor. It didn't work. You can leave the materia on the ship and it still doesn't work. It doesn't change the outcome at all. Fun fact. Rufus and the others' plan was a failure. What a bust, but I kind of hoped it'd work. We've been bothering them as much as we can, but there ain't no other way. Wonder if we've been wrong this whole time. Seen any good anime lately? Nope. I haven't watched any shows or seen movies in a very long time. Other than, like, My Little Pony. Makes you worry, doesn't it? Don't worry, think. Hey, the girl's right. You start worrying and there's no stopping it. Things just stop falling apart and get worse and worse. You're pretty damn optimistic. You up to something? Yeah, I've been thinking about this and that. All the time we've been up here looking at the planet. I've been thinking even when we were floating in the ocean in that escape pod. I've been thinking too about the universe, planet, ocean. How wide and big. No matter where I go and what I do, it won't change a thing. Maybe you're right. But I came up with something different. I always thought this planet was so huge, but looking at it from space, I realized it's so small. We're just floating in the dark, kind of makes you feel powerless. On top of that, it's got Sephiroth festering inside it like a sickness. That's why I say this planet's still a kid. A little kid sick and trembling in the middle of this huge universe. Someone's got to protect it. You follow me? That someone is us. Sid, that's beautiful. Yo, Sid, you even got to me. You even got to me. Do, now what? How we gonna protect the planet from meteor? I'm still thinking about that. Huh? I really intensely disliked Attack on Titan like the first few episodes. Maybe because I watched the dub, but I really didn't like the show at all. I thought it was really silly, but I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another shot. I don't know, though. Did you hear something? The planet Scream. Or meteor. Is it this planet? Hey, how do we know that this is really the planet Scream? Did you forget? Bugenhagen told us. Bugenhagen. Let's go see Grandfather to Cosmo Canyon. I'm sure he'll be able to tell us something that will be helpful. Oh, they're censoring James Bond novels. Of course they are. You gotta censor everything. And again, it's because there's no culturally relevant anything. You know what I mean? Actually, I think we can get something in Rocket Town real quick. Is the rocket still there? Oh, is the rocket gone? Yeah. That's cool. Rocket's gone. My precious rocket, it's gone. I know, no matter how much I look, the rocket's still gone, but I just can't stop it. Just call it an old man's folly, if you will. Sorry to get you into this. For me, it's kind of a hobby. But out of appreciation, let me give you this. We should take care of it and use it. Alright. I think this is his thing. The Venus Gospel. But I'm probably going to just, like, take everything off anyway, because I'm not going to use Sid, I don't think. I'll use Tifa. Actually, I think I need to use Red for the next part. So I'll just put him in the party. So, let's do that real quick. See if he has a better thing here. Nope. He's going to be a little bit weak. Imperial Guard. Doesn't really matter. Let's go find Cosmo Canyon. think it's on the other continent, isn't it? Get over here. Here it is. World map of Final Fantasy VII always feels very small to me. Can I land here? I can't. I have to land on grass. What's this guy have to say? Oh, it's you. This is terrible. The color of that unlucky star. The children are all so scared that they won't even go outside. I'd rather not see it either. Did you know that starting in 1959 they rewrote and Bowdlerized all the original Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew books? I did not know that. I don't know what Bowdlerized means though, I think. What does that mean? Bowdlerize. I'm gonna have to like Google that. I have some original printings of some Hardy Boys books. From like the 1910s or something. Ho ho ho! If you ever are in need of my wisdom, you are always welcome here. Yeah, that's why we came. What to do? Have you lost your way? When that happens, we each have to take a good, long look at ourselves. There's always something in the deepest reaches of our hearts. Something buried or something forgotten. Remember it. Whatever that is must certainly be what you were all looking for. That's easy enough to say, but I can't remember a thing. It must be there. Look harder. No good. We alone cannot do it. We need to have the others here. Okay, that's what it means. So they censored it. Yeah, they removed material that's offensive or objectionable. I didn't know that they did that. Do you see it? What is it that you are searching for? No, not a thing. No, can't come up with a thing. Me either. I don't get any of this. I remember Eris a lot. No, not that. You haven't remembered. You haven't forgotten. That's not it. How would you say it? Eris was right. Right there all along. Right by our side. She was so close we couldn't see her. What Eris did. The words she left behind. Oh, no, wait. Yes. That reminds me, I was the same. As was I. Me too. She said she was the only one who could stop Sephiroth's meteor. But Aeris is gone. Is it impossible for us to carry on what Aeris tried to accomplish? We ain't no ancients, if that's what you mean. Wait, did that girl go off to that place? That's it. What's it? We don't know about it. What did Aeris know? Why did she face Sephiroth without running away? I see, she returned there once again, correct? Perhaps I'll have you take me there. You're going too? What's so surprising about that? Even I want to get out from time to time and see the outside world. Wonder what did it? I haven't felt like this in ages. It must be the planet. The planet is calling you. Yeah, oh boy. The planet calling. Right. Ho-ho, then let's go. Oh yeah, Bugenhagen, I have one more thing I want to ask you. We're carrying around huge materia. This is pretty delicate stuff, and we would like to keep it in a safe place. Oh, then we'll put it upstairs. Now, shall we be on our way? I'll teach you how to work the machine. Watch carefully now. You just pull this here. His friend says dying is gay. Oh, this is what you call huge materia. This is really rare materia indeed. Look at those gradient shades on it. It's so fun. So funny looking. Materia this rare is certain to have a special consciousness enclosed in it. Huge materia. It is glowing strangely. I'm gonna get to the blue materia. Huge materia. It is glowing strangely. Get closer. The huge materia emitted a cold glow. Is that Bahamut? Bahamut, Neo-Bahamut materia glows brightly. Received Bahamut 0 materia. Now look at these other ones. The huge materia emitted a fiery glow. This color is the same color as summoned materia. It's glowing strangely. Emitted a gentle glow. This color is the same color as magic materia. It's the same color as command materia. Alright. Oh, good. Now let's leave. Do you remember how to use the machine down below? If you ever want to see materia, come here anytime. Smells like machinery. I love this smell. Of course, I also love the smell of nature too. Is the deck up there? Then I'll be on the deck just passing the time. I could feel the workings of the planet and the smell of the wind. I also feel the greatness of man's wisdom and the knowledge and the smell of machinery. Well, bye for now. Alright. Alright, we gotta go over to the Forgotten City now. When I get to it, in the air is the question. I have to go back through all that stuff. I think that is the Chocobo Sage. I get down here? I can. Sweet. There we go. We're talking about starting a band together. It's funny. Is you play on Steam. I play on PlayStation Vita. This is the original PS1 version on the PlayStation Vita. Yes. Here, let me show you. Where's my broadcaster? Yes, it's a PS Vita. There it is. PS Vita. Yes. PS Vita outputs video. They could have had a Nintendo Switch back in 2012, but they chose not to do it because that would, of course, tempt some people not to buy a PlayStation 4 the following year. So, there you go. This is? Yes, exactly. How is he floating? Can I float too? Are you getting something? Give me a moment. Do you think it would be more successful as an individual console if PS Vita did that? I think so. I think it would have been a really unique feature at the time. You know, it probably would have really helped sales. I imagine it would have. It was built in, but they disabled it. You know, they didn't enable video output via USB, but it was built into the device. Yeah, the PSP was from 2005, but I think somebody told me the PSP could technically do it as well. Which is crazy that they just didn't enable that. But, you know, they had home consoles to sell people. And what they really wanted people to do was to, like, buy a PS Vita version of the game and a PS4. Now, eventually they started selling cross-platform ones. So I have a bunch of games that are PS3 or PS4 and PS Vita. And you can, like, you can upload the save to their servers and, like, cross-save and stuff. They really wanted people to do that and view this as, like, an extension of their PS4, their PS3 at home. They just take this on the road, and then they could play AAA titles on it. That's really what the PS Vita was all about, and it was very good at that. But I think, honestly, what made the Vita fall short was just smartphones were at their apex in 2012. So people weren't going to buy a Vita, another device, when they felt like they could play games on their smartphone. At least at the time, that's just the way people were thinking. Why was the Switch successful? The Switch came out years later, so people had already gotten over the fact that smartphone games were bad, so they were willing to buy another portable device. But if they had made this hook up to the TV, it probably would have been a much bigger sell, because there are people that would buy this instead of buying a PS4. In fact, that probably would have been me. I really like portables. They fit a lot better into my life than home consoles. But they really wanted people to have both, and like serious gamers to play this as like an extension of their PS4. And some people did, including me, but most people just didn't bother. They had a phone. If they were out somewhere, they wouldn't they didn't care about having a PlayStation in their pocket. They wanted to just pull out their phone and play. What was the game that was really big at that time? Yeah, there's all these forgotten mobile games that people played, but yeah, they'd play Candy Crush or something, you know? That's how it was. Yeah, they sold 3D television. You can get a PlayStation 3D display. It's still around, and you can get them. They're pretty good 3D displays, meant to work with the PS3. Pretty cool stuff. PS3 was a 3D console. The knowledge of the ancients swirling around here is telling me one thing. Most of ERB's books are in the public domain, but the Burroughs estate has control over the trademarks to the names and uses that to excise control. Yes, trademark capture. We've talked about that before. Like if you wanted to write, even if Star Wars were in the public domain, Disney would sue you for using the name Luke Skywalker and stuff like that. Luke Skywalker is a trademark of Disney. The trademark is something like naming your restaurant McDonald's. You can't name your restaurant McDonald's because there's already a very famous and popular restaurant named McDonald's, and consumers will think that your restaurant is McDonald's when it's not. So I don't think it should work that way with books, but you know, corporations do capture trademarks, and that's part of the weirdness of the IP law. So IP includes trademarks, copyrights, things like that. The planet's in a crisis beyond human power or endless time. It says when the time comes, we must search for holy, the ultimate white magic that might stand against meteor, perhaps our last hope to save the planet from meteor. If a soul-seeking holy reaches the planet, it will appear. Woohoo! Meteor, weapon, everything will disappear. Perhaps even ourselves. Even us. It is up to the planet to decide. What is best for the planet, what is bad for the planet. All that is bad will disappear, that is all. Oh, I wonder which we humans are. Yeah, I think you're right, Hardwick. Like you can't advertise that something is Conan the Barbarian. You can't call it Conan the Barbarian, but you could call it the Cimmerian, and then Conan is the main character. You know, someone did a comic book like that recently, so I think you're right. But I mean, a lot of this has to be kind of hashed out in a court of law. If they could convince a jury that reasonably they thought it was a Disney product, then Disney could sue you. You know what I mean? I mean, they could success, and they could sue you even if they're going to lose, and it will cost you huge amounts of money. Even if they can't get past the motion to dismiss, it would cost you a huge amount of money just to hire a lawyer to write the brief to file a motion to dismiss. Like, lawfare is real, and corporations have a major advantage over the little guy. Like, courts can level the playing field against the little guy, but if the little guy is being sued by a giant corporation, he's in trouble, you know? Search for holy. How do we do it? Speak to the planet. Get the white materia. This will bond the planet to humans. Then speak to the planet. If our wish reaches the planet, the white materia will begin to glow a pale green. This is the end. Eris had the white materia. But when Eris died, it fell from the altar. That's why this is the end. Ho ho ho! Ho ho ho! I missed the entire PS4's lifespan because Sony didn't get Gran Turismo 7 out until after the PS5's release. Skipped that entire generation of consoles. That was a pretty good generation. That's like 7 years of games. PS4 was honestly pretty good for what it was. Look at this! You're always able to sue regardless if they have any chance of being successful. There's an FRCP that tried to prevent it, but companies know ways around that. Go to a country where IP laws aren't enforced. So much counterfeit brand name stuff. Sony PlayStation, $99. Bugenhagen's ancient writings. Can you read it? I can't even make it out. This is no time for jokes. I'm not an ancient. I can't read this thing. I may be old, but my eyes aren't completely bad yet. Look closely below the writing. Here's a note written in chalk. Key in the music box. It was probably written by a scientist who's been here. He probably used all his energy to make out these 2 words. Key to what? I don't know, but it probably has something to do with our riddle. The riddle, then it must have something to do with Eris. What does it mean? That music box over there, we'll put the key in it. I'll go use the key. You all wait here. Watch closely what happens. Egyptian video game developer Anis Adin sued Paramount because Star Trek Discovery ripped off his game Tardigrades, but lost. You can't. There's certain things that you actually can't copyright in terms of gameplay. You actually can't copyright gameplay or game mechanics. Fun. So you could make a D&D clone and not get sued. It's just using their setting. You can't do that. Kind of interesting. Ho ho ho! The most tabletop RPGs are clones of D&D in some capacity. It's the same idea. Rolling dice, chance, armor class, that kind of stuff. There's a note written in chalk. I see Wiener. Rugenhagen just wants to show off that he can fly and doesn't need to wander around all the pathways to get there. Now I'll go inside. Hope may be inside, or... Oops. Let's see what's in here. This was just a screen to protect an image. Look at the image projected on the screen of the water. It's Eris. What happened is that Star Trek Discovery copied Abin's entire cast of characters, including appearance and character traits, in his idea of giant blue teleporting tardigrades. I haven't watched Star Trek Discovery. But even then, you can't copyright character traits. You can't even copyright character appearances. None of that is copyrightable. Copyright is attached to the specific work. So plagiarism involves copying the actual words of a work, not the way a character looks, not the way a character thinks. That is not copyrightable. You won't be able to handle it. You know, plagiarism is taking the actual words. It's glowing. Oh, ho, ho, it's pale green. Eris has already prayed for holy. After I gave up the black materia to Sephiroth, Eris's words came into my dreams. She said she was the only one who could stop Sephiroth, and to do that there was a secret here. That was holy. That's why she had the white materia. Eris knew about here and what she had to do. Eris has left us great hope, but it cost her her life, her future. Can you copyright your own image? Yes. Well, okay. Copywriting is not something you do. It's something you have. I'm sorry, Eris. I should have figured this out sooner. When you create something, it's copyrighted, which means you have the right to copies of it. You have a right to control how it's copied. That's what copyright is. So you don't copyright a book. You write a book, and it is copywritten because you wrote it. It's just a way of thinking of the fact that you own the intellectual property rights of it. So no, you don't have to file anything with the Library of Congress to copyright something. That is completely false. That's not necessary, and it doesn't even hold up legally. All it would show legally in a lawsuit is that you sent a copy of that work to the Library of Congress, and they received it and cataloged it on the day and time that they said they did. So if somebody years later was saying, you know, you wrote this after me, it's like, I didn't, because I wrote it in 1997, and here's the proof. But it's not what copywriting is. Copyright just means you own the rights to it. So if you make an image, you own the copyright to it. Right? I'm sorry, Eris. I should have figured this out sooner. You left us without saying a word. It was also sudden, so I couldn't think. That's why it took so long for me to find out. But, Eris, I understand now. Eris, I'll do the rest. Is a specific concept like giant blue teleporting tardigrades copyrightable? Nope. It's not. Torpedoes are not copyrightable. Ray guns aren't. Time travel is not. Spaceships are not copyrightable. You couldn't use probably like the model of the Enterprise for a Star Trek ripoff, but you could rip off every other aspect of the show and have it be an original property. And it'd be fine. They wouldn't be able to sue you. We'll take care of it. I hope she left us. We've got to take a chance with it. Thank you, Eris. Eris's voice has already reached the planet. Just look at the glow of the white materia. But how about Holy? How come Holy isn't moving? Why? Something's getting in its way. He's the only one that could do it. Sephiroth, where are you? Could I put a real-life person, name, appearance, and all in a story, or even art, and legally make copies of it and make money? It really depends, because if you are writing about a real person and you are writing things which are not true, then you are guilty of something different, which is called libel, which means you are telling false stories about a person. You can't lie about real people. But you could make, like if I wanted to write a story and have Sylvester Stallone be a character, if I named him Sylvester Stallone, I might run into problems. Not because Sylvester Stallone owns the right to his own name and everything, but because I'm telling a story about Sylvester Stallone, a real human being. Rather, I could make a character that looks and acts and talks like him, but his name is like Silly Sibilski or something. And people would get that it's Sylvester Stallone, but it's obviously not, and it's obviously fiction because you changed the name and it's a fiction book. You know, so this is not legal advice, by the way. It's not legal advice. People ask, like, can I have a real person meet my character in the book? The answer is, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because I would not want to risk having to deal with a lawsuit if somebody got upset about that. Okay? Even if you were on the right side of it and it's obviously a fiction book and this is obviously a fiction encounter, you could still get sued for it, right? Unauthorized use of my image, even though that's not actually a thing. You'd still have to defend yourself in a court of law. So I just wouldn't do it. Like, why take that risk? It's a dumb risk. Yeah, the Orville's a clone of Star Trek, minus transporters, yeah. Or it's a clone of Star Trek Enterprise, you know? Look at the low frame rate. That's crazy. The PS1 used to, like, really chug. Alright, where do I go now? I guess we just leave. What the? Sorry. I was a little surprised. What happened? You remember when the Junon cannon disappeared? Actually, Rufus moved it. Moved it? That big thing? Where? Why? Rufus wants to destroy Sephiroth with it. That cannon operates on huge materia, but the huge materia has already been used in the rocket plan. So since the cannon's useless right now, he decided to move it. To a place where where Mako is gathered. Where is that? A Brit author named Evelyn Log was notorious for putting his friends into novels under pseudonyms. They would anticipate his every release with dread. And a fun story about F. Scott Fitzgerald. He ran into an old flame of his, and she asked which one in the book was his, and he goes, I don't know. Which bitch do you think it is? Right? Meaning, there is a truth to it when I said that, like, F. Scott Fitzgerald was writing kind of incel fiction with Great Gatsby. It was about how much of a sexual loser the author was. So yeah, there's an idea that you do that, but if you don't use their real name, then you know, it's obviously fiction. You'd have to be like, it's clear that he based this character on me. It's like, yeah, but it's not you, though. It's not you. That's why, Reeve. It's your job to adjust the reactor's output. I see. Don't worry about adjusting it, Reeve. Once you open it all the way, everything will go full speed. The president's sure done it this time. If we can only defeat Sephiroth, the idea that Meteor will also disappear is based on different objectives. Please remember, Mr. President, it was my idea to fire and make reactor-powered shells. Will the shells really reach the far northern border? Of course! But, Mr. President, please do not call it a Mako cannon. This new weapon will be called the Sister Ray. Did you know Trey Parker and Matt Stone have started a visual effects studio specializing in deepfakes? It's called Deep Voodoo. It's funny. Yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald had like a, I don't know if I want to call it a love affair, but had a, a relationship with a rich woman. And that's why, like, the whole Great Gatsby is about how bad rich people are. He couldn't even finish it. He had to have an editor help him edit his work into something readable. Lots of people like Great Gatsby. I think it's an average book. I think it's more fun to read it when you know the history of the author and kind of the subtext of it. Like a lot of things, you know. On its own, I think it's a pretty shallow story. With a meaning that makes a lot of sense to people in their late 20s or like early 30s about like unrequited love or something like that, which is fine. It's not bad, and like the prose is pretty good. But it's a lot more fun when you realize that like he's writing about people he knew and trying to trash them and talk about how awful they are, and he's actually Gatsby, the sexual loser. You have this rich Gatsby who's a sexual loser and a gangster. It's like, it doesn't really compute when you've known any gangsters in your life. Or any rich people, for that matter. Tom Buchanan did nothing wrong. Whoa! Roar! It's a kaiju. What's wrong? I think I'm gonna have to leave Diamond Weapon for the next stream. It's a strange signal. From where? Have you read James Joyce's love letters to his wife? I have not. They are eyebrow raising. It's coming from this person? Wow. Hey. That was a surprise. The controls went crazy. This ain't good. Weapon came out of the sea and is headed straight for Midgar. The new weapon should stop him, right? I don't know if it's ready or not. Hey, what's gonna happen to Marlene? Don't you worry then. Marlene's in a safe place. She's with Eris's mama. Barrett! What was that scratching just now? As long as Marlene is safe, who cares what else happens, right? I've been itching to say this to you for a while now. When you blew the Midgar #1 up, how many folks did you think died? was for the life of the planet. You gotta expect a few casualties. A few? What do you mean a few? Well, maybe a few to y'all is everything to them who died. Protect the planet. Y'all sure sound good. Ain't no one that'd go against you. So you think you can do whatever y'all want? I don't want to hear that from no one in Shinra. Nothing I can do about that. Stop it. Catchy. Barrett, he knows what he did. What we did in Midgar can't be forgotten no matter what the reason. Right? We haven't forgotten, right? I know you. You can't quit the company because you're worried about the people in Midgar, right? Cloud? Okay, let's go. We'll be weapon ourselves. Hey, Cloud. You think we can win against that monster? We got a chance of winning. Oh, yeah. We got a chance of winning, right? Okay, made him British. How would I know? That's no reason for us to just let him go. We're going to Midgar and fight Weapon. Come on, let's move. Oh yeah, if you try to, here, check this out. If you try to run into him here, it'll just like, say, nah. Hey, what are you trying to do? Break the high one? Let's fight on the ground. Look, he's like going slowly across the water. I love it. Let's save the game. Alright, I think that's going to be it for today. Alright. So I think that's it for today because we're at 3 o'clock. I got some other stuff to do. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me for this little adventure here. There we go. I will pick it up. I may change schedules, so like if you're not on the mailing list, make sure you're on the mailing list, dbspress.com/list. If you would like a free book for getting on the mailing list, go to dbspress.com/free-book, and it will put you on the mailing list and give you a free copy of the new book, Demon Ex Machina, right? Which is a very fun book about what if the AI art machine was actually a demon. What if there was a demon in it? That is what that one is, so you can grab that one now. I'll link it on Amazon in case you want to buy it. If that's what you'd like to do, you can do that. New audio track is out. If you want to wait, I will be releasing it in an album if you're wanting to buy it, and I will try to make a physical copy. I didn't sell a lot of physical copies last time, and I really prefer to kind of sell them on demand, so we'll see what I come up with for selling physical copies. But that's the new music track. I'm trying to think. Oh, super chat. Thanks for the stream. If you could take a look at the cover and get back to me soon, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. All right, I'll look at it in a minute. You have to read Pickman's Model sometime. I have it. I mean, I have every Lovecraft one. I may have read it like in the distant past and just not really remembered it. You know, I occasionally go through and reread all of the Lovecraft stuff and do like maybe do an analysis video on that, so I could do that one. I don't remember anything about it if I read it, so I don't consider myself influenced by it. Probably, if you're looking at a specific Lovecraft work, it's probably, I don't know. Either probably looking at stuff like Call of Cthulhu is a little bit more influential on Demon Ex Machina than, other things. So it just depends. Or maybe, I'll have to think. Mostly about like uncovering that mystery. So anyway, guys, thanks so much. I will talk to you all next time. Have a good one, and take it easy.